Now we know how aliens built their UFOs and control them, explains Stephen Greer. According to Dr. Stephen Greer, a leading advocate for the public revelation of the government's contact with extraterrestrial life. The government has been aware of and secretly studying extraterrestrial spacecraft and their inhabitants since the 1940s. Through his research and gathered testimony from over 400 government officials, Dr. Greer has come to the conclusion that his research establishes beyond any doubt the reality of extraterrestrial life forms. UFOs are extraterrestrial vehicles, and advanced energy and propulsion technologies resulting from the study of these vehicles, as stated on the website of his organization, the Disclosure Project. Dr. Ted Loder, an earth sciences professor at the University of New Hampshire, who has been studying the subject for 5 years, has praised Dr. Greer's research as absolutely first-rate. The Disclosure Project, a nonprofit research organization founded in 1993, holds the belief that government organizations that are aware of alien life are operating outside of the view of Congress. And that prior American presidents have been deliberately misled and denied access to this information. Dr. Greer has compiled over 120 hours of testimony from his conversations with government representatives, which have been condensed into 18 hours of evidence. During an interview with U-Interview, he said that UFOs are not unidentified flying objects as the acronym suggests, but rather an alternative energy and propulsion devices. The technology behind UFOs was heavily studied by a team headed by Dr. Vannevar Bush in the 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s, and by 1954, they had developed what is known as gravity control and zero-point energy. Editor note: in January 2015, former NASA astronaut Edgar Mitchell sent an email to Podesta, asking him to have an urgent meeting to discuss disclosure and zero-point energy, ZPE. Mitchell wrote, "My Catholic colleague Terry Mansfield will be there too, to bring us up to date on the Vatican's awareness of ETI. Another colleague is working on a new space treaty, citing involvement with Russia and China." However, Dr. Greer stated that the secrecy surrounding this technology went off the rails and became deeply entrenched in compartmented intelligence operations, even causing President Eisenhower to become frustrated with being denied information on the projects. The problem became to be, and this is what President Eisenhower warned us about, the secrecy became so enmeshed and compartmented in intelligence operations, that even he as president lost control over it, said Dr. Greer. He further stated, "One of our military witnesses, he was a young man working at the White House, which I'm looking at from my place here in Washington, he told us, Mr. Lubkin, who is an attorney, said that Eisenhower was very frustrated that he was being denied information on the projects controlling this issue." Dr. Greer became involved in the study of UFOs after conducting investigations and attempting to make contact with the objects. Through his investigations, Dr. Greer was able to document and uncover new information that had previously been unknown. The secrecy surrounding UFOs, according to Dr. Greer, is not based on typical national security concerns, but rather on the potential economic impact of the technology. The Paradigm Research Group, PRG, led by Stephen Bassett, was established in 1996 to eliminate a government-imposed embargo on the disclosure of information about events that may be related to extraterrestrial-related phenomena. The PRG researchers claimed they know the reasons why the U.S. authorities are hiding information about UFOs. According to them, the entire world economy will collapse if the UFO data is disclosed. Some programs have been removed from the jurisdiction of the White House and Congress and are working somewhere very, very deep, in a hidden mode, the researcher emphasized. "I assure you, when the head of state finally officially admits this fact and presents evidence, people will start to worry and want to know more. The disclosure of UFOs would mean the end of oil, gas, coal, and public utilities, as the technology would completely transform the world. Those with trillions of dollars invested in these industries would not be enthused about this possibility." Dr. Greer founded the Disclosure Project to bring this information to the public and has interviewed 800 to 900 people who have been involved in these projects. They have put a tip of the iceberg of this information into a movie called Unacknowledged to give people a sense of what the information is and how secrecy at this level is maintained.